tracking animals in the South African bushveld. Two men forged a friendship that is cut across cultures.
He taught me a little phrase that says, "Andi kombela ku vutisa, leswaku u tirhisa switona hi swimbirhi ku komba mbuyur."
Which means the thumb and forefingers, they would be learn each other.
In order to pick anything up, you need the thumb and the forefinger to pick up the seed and go and plant the seed and realize its potential.
They share their knowledge and experience, giving talks, traveling the world, coaching people on what they can learn from the African bushveld.
I think it's the connection to nature, connection to wilderness, because that's where our story started at Londolozi Game Reserve. It started in a beautiful wilderness area, and that's the backdrop of the story, and I think that's the first thing people relate to. But then I think people know South Africa's history, they know the troubles we've come through, and when they see two guys, one black, one white, that have connected on such a deep level, I think they like that, and it shows that South Africa has a lot to offer.
This week on African Voices, game rangers and trackers, Renias Mashlongo and Alex van den Heever. They chatter in Shangaan, a local South African language, a connection fostered when they worked together as a ranger and a tracker here at the Londolozi Game Reserve.
How important was that, learning each other's language, particularly you learning Shangaan? Key to your relationship as a ranger and a tracker?
It was absolutely key. I don't think we could have gotten to the depth of the relationship that we have gotten to if I didn't take the time to learn Shangaan. And when I went and met Renias' family, talking to them and understanding where Renias came from, his background, more about his culture, I could only have gotten that if I understood the language of Shangaan.
Their friendship started with a tentative sharing of each other's cultures more than 10 years ago. Renias invited Alex back to his home in a place called Dixie.
The first thing they worry me, to bring Alex into my house is the one thing. But I'm worrying for what my family going to say if I bring the white people into our family. So, and the other thing, I'm really worried what the community is going to say if they see a white guy walking around here in the community. So, but I say, okay, to form very good relationship. So I have to take a risk sometime. So then I take a risk there, which means they are working.
You invite him to come spend the weekend?
Yes.
Dixie is like another world. It's a rural Shangaan village. Only about 400 people lived there at that time. About 70% of the people lived in mud huts with grass roofs. And it was a Friday afternoon, and I arrived in my little blue Golf.
It's a little blue VW, Volkswagen.
Yeah. And and Renias shows me to where I'm going to stay. We go into his house. Now, Renias would have been considered one of the more wealthier members of the Dixie community because he'd had a job. So he lived in a brick home, in an air brick, there's cast cement bricks with zinc roof. And he shows me into his house. So we go through this little passageway, and he says to me, "This is where you're going to stay. This is my bedroom." I said to him, "Ren, I can't stay in your bedroom. This is your personal space here." He says, "No, you my VPI guest," he says. And I had the most incredible weekend. His bedroom was amazing in itself. He'd spent 8 years saving for that bed and that headboard. I realized the hardships of the people were facing living in Dixie.
So that first experience, you take Alex back to your sort of home community. And did that just change everything?
I only heard stories of how people lived in rural Dixie, places like Dixie, and going there and living myself like that, and bathing in a little zinc bath. And you have to live deliberately. You have to go and find the wood, make the fire, heat the water, pour the water into the bath there, make sure you don't waste the water. it's living very deliberately. I quite liked it, but it made me realize how much us Westerners take for granted. You switch on the shower and you've got a beautiful amount of pressure and water, and lights and microwaves and etc. etc. People in rural South Africa live very, very deliberately, and that to me was, when I had to do it myself, I realized how difficult that would be on a permanent basis.
That one shared experience turned into many more.
I'd always been looking for a way to give back to Renias, and I invited him to come to London with me. And he'd never been outside the Kruger National Park. He hadn't even been to Johannesburg. He'd never seen the ocean, and he certainly hadn't been in an aeroplane. And I remember we flew on Virgin Airways, and Virgin Airways was the first airline to give everybody a personalized TV, okay? Even in the back of the plane, in the economy class. And so I get Renias settled, and on this TV is playing 6 or 8 movies, you know? And I set it on to Die Hard, it was playing. Die Hard 2 or something was playing, Renias was watching. But then there's also that screen, and you can watch the breadcrumb trail of the plane as it makes its way up the continent, that little map. And I noticed within 5 minutes, Renias has switched to the map of Africa. I said, Renias, nice movies here, why don't you watch the movies? He said, no, I like the map. For 11.5 hours, Renias watched the map of Africa. And as we came about to land in Heathrow Airport, he noticed me like this. He said, hey, Boetie, if we have to come back here by walking or driving, I know the way.
We're laughing with you, not at you. So I mean, was it a crazy experience? I mean, to leave the Kruger Park to find yourself in London.
To me, actually, it's a wonderful experience, which means because like I said, I never been. At that time, I never been to the airplane. I never been too far from my home. Normally, I've been around it in the Kruger Park. To me, it was a very, very nice, interesting experience.
Later, as the sun sets over the African bush, they reminisce about how Renias wanted to drive a sports car during that London trip. Beyond the campfire tales and the inspiring friendship, bush felt wisdom born out of necessity.
Okay, that tree there, the way we're going now, the dark tree, this is where I born. Under of that tree.
Deep in the bushveld, off the main track, is a place Renias Mashlongo can identify with a clarity that comes from a life lived within this landscape.
What an amazing journey for you to come.
Actually, it's a good journey. It's an amazing journey.
He explains that his was a childhood spent herding and protecting his family's cattle.
Under this tree, in this amazingly beautiful part of South Africa.
Absolutely.
And such a rural, simple life.
Yes, we actually have a great life here, and we do everything here. We learn how to hunt, we learn how to chase animals, and we know how I can say this is very good area.
So 1963, your mother goes into labor. She gives birth to you here, and you grow up,
Yes.
literally living off the land.
Yes.
What did this teach you?
Actually, what teach me here? We wake up in the morning. We go out in the bush, spend a whole day in the bush, and then we take the cattle down there, which means we learn the trap. Sometimes we ride the cattle. Is sometimes getting tired. A small cattle like this, in the space of a bull.
And you were a little boy.
When I'm a little boy.
If you're quiet, you can hear the sounds of the bush. There's so much going on. And you, growing up here, got to understand and listen and read the signs of the bush in a way that many people have lost.
Yes, so I grow up here, and I sit in quiet and listening in the different sound of animals. The sound of grasshoppers, and listen to the sound of the lion killing something. All that thing is a part of my growing in nature, which means because we don't have a cell phone here, which means we communicate with connect to the nature. So which means when I grow up, this is how I grow. Listening, all the sounds.
And seeing as well. I mean, to be able to spot things the way you do, it's only by living here.
Yes.
Constant practice of seeing things move.
A different shape of the different a shade or something, which means you pick it up, something there. What's it in there? Okay, because you see, if you're coming from a town, to you it's very difficult to spot things. Not seem like not seem like me are living here. So if you may be looking there, you see something. You say, what's it? But when I look there, I can say I know what exactly it is. So it's very different because I was born here, and I use my passion to listen everything, to transport something.
You, in a way, see a world that we can't see. You hear a world that most of us have lost the ability to hear.
Yes. So I can say, the time I was living here, to me, this is a big world.
And it's your world, though.
That's my world, yeah. This is my big world. Like I'm lately maybe about 6 years or 7 years old boy. Have a kettle down there, and you have to keep that kettle in the trouble of the lions, because the kettle live together with the predators. So we have to make sure. That's why we spend the whole day with the kettle, because
To protect them from the
protect
lions.
them. Otherwise, we can lose the kettle.
And cattle is your wealth
And the
when
cattle
you're
is our wealth.
when you're living in this kind of environment.
Yes.
It's idyllic, this. It's the African bush in its purest sense in many ways, but it's dangerous. And as a
Yes.
child, you were wandering out here on your own with, how did you protect yourself from the lions that are literally wandering out there?
Like I say, you're listening all the time. All the time when you walk, you must be aware, and also you must look at tracks. If you find the tracks or lions, or maybe have come back, tell the father, I got the lion tracks there, which means the father will come. The cow will come with it because I'm young, 6 years. I'm a young boy. So I come here, tell my father found the lion spoor there. So I'm scared to continue to follow. So which means the father will come with me. Okay, they search that cattle. Which means if that one is very, very lucky if it come with you sometime. But sometimes say, go for it, go found it. I don't want to hear the story but telling me you see lions tracks there. I don't take the story. I need that cat to come back.
So you just had to survive.
Yes.
You had to be wily, and you had to understand the animals to protect yourself.
Yes. And also I have to look where the animal go. Maybe they try to avoid it, take another road, which means they're not tracks they're going that way. So you have to go around them, or you try to avoid it all the time.
You've seen so much. You've traveled so much. Do you dream of this place?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the dream is my place. Even I've been somewhere else, but still my heart still want to come back here.
To this tree?
On this tree, they were born. So when I'm standing here today, I'm very happy because I back in my home. They were born. That's why I'm so happy. When I look at them, my heart feeling a bit sore.
You said something that, in a way, the spirits have told you to stay at home and teach your own people. Is that what you feel?
Yes, this is what I feel. Because if you, like I say, if I'm more educated,
Because you've only got 3 years of school.
Yeah, exactly, not much. That is very little. So I pride myself having to go further, like university or something. This is my university. So this is my big degree. That's why I like to come back here, spend a lot of time here, and helping people and teaching about the bush, take it the unexperienced people out in the trouble. That's why what actually I'm looking for.
And you're a professor out here.
I'm big professor here in my yard. but around the town, I'm not professor. I don't know in the direction. I can't tell where I'm going, where I have been. But here I can tell you, if I head that way, where I'm coming across. If I'm heading that way, where I'm going to cross. So, but in a town, I should be. I can say the town, not my yard.
You'd get lost.
I agree.
Here?
Easy. Here, I even drop him here at night, or you take something, put him here. If I can walk, we actually wear my eyes closed. I can remember where I'm going.
Did she have any choice in the matter?
Over the years, while working together, driving guests in their safari vehicle, Alex got a masterclass from Renias on tracking animals in the bush. They're now trying to preserve their tracking skills.
Don't forget to visit our website, cnn.com/African Voices, where you can find past episodes and find out more about your favorite shows. And make sure you fan us on Facebook at facebook.com/CNN African Voices. There you'll find behind-the-scenes photos and video extras. Join the discussion now.
trackers calling.
Renias Mashlongo and Alex van der Heever are tracking rhino. It's close by.
Clear track here in the sand.
They just follow the signs in the bush.
The tracks have come out of the dry riverbed onto the southern bank. And now they were milling about here, they were grazing, and the ground is quite hard, so we've lost the tracks for now, but we can see here, you can see this area where it's been depressed.
Soon they find rhinos,
Here's a rhino,
which scuttle away before we can film them, scared off by our noisy city ways. They continue to track the rhinos, but after a few hours they give up.
So we've been walking for a few hours now, trying to track some rhino. The fact that we saw them and then lost them, it's just perfect really, because that's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when we originally found them, it was still cool, but as we then moved further and further into the heat of the day, the grass that normally has dew on it and so on, and the shadows that you get from the advantage of the early morning all disappeared as it got hotter. So it became much more difficult as it warmed
so
up.
the clues become more difficult to see, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, you're trackers, but there's an art to it, isn't there? It's beautiful to watch you two.
Yeah, I mean, what I like it is it's incredibly challenging. It can go from very simple and basic and easy of seeing the tracks to almost impossible in a matter of meters. And for me, it employs the power of concentration, concentrating on minute detail, but then also zooming out and taking the whole landscape into consideration and being a bit more intuitive in your approach. And then on the other hand, it's very physical, as you can, I'm sweating here. For the last 2 hours you've been in the 30-degree heat, and you've got to maintain concentration for that period of time. And the really good trackers, the expert trackers, are able to do that. They can maintain concentration and focus over a long period of time through the heat during a waterless day.
Tracking as an art, as a skill, is dying, isn't it?
Yeah, there must be only a handful of people in South Africa that can do what Renias did this morning. Of the traditional sand trackers, the Bushman trackers, there's only 4 or 5 authentic, genuine Bushman trackers left. So it is dying. If you consider the formal qualifications, there are only 19 senior trackers in South Africa, of which there are only 5 senior tracker evaluators. There are only 3 master trackers left. So the bottom line is we're losing them, and within 10 years, if nothing is done, we could have seen the last of the traditional trackers.
And everything that you know is in your head. I mean, this is an oral tradition, isn't it?
Yes. That was oral tradition, yeah.
You said to me the computer is in your head
Yeah,
with
it's in
all
my-
your...
yeah, no diary. This is I put everything in my computer brain. I can say.
And the depth of your knowledge is extraordinary. We've been saying you speak squirrel, so give me an example of how you understand the language of animals.
Because it's been in the bush for a long time, so like I say, I store everything in my brain, which means I learn for different alarm call of the different predators.
There's also the strikes. The strikes all make different alarm calls, and I don't think it's ever been recorded. But often Renias will be following a leopard track, and he'll say, "You hear that the strikes are calling? The leopard's definitely there." And we leave the tracks altogether. We go straight in the direction of where we heard the strikes calling. And every different strike has a different alarm call, none of which have been recorded or anything like that. So that, to me, that's information that resides with very, very few people.
The rest of the mongoose is like in a group.
You're trying to teach, coach, share this wisdom. Is that important to you?
Yes, very, very important. To share the knowledge to other people, which means to getting same skill like we have. Like I mentioned that they say, the tracking a skill is something dying. Because no one written in the books. So, but how actually track the animals. So we actually try to bring it up again. Like example, like one stuff, like when actually I die, actually where my skill go? To dying also. So to share my skill to other people, which means very important. Which means my skill they're not dying, they're still alive, because other people already got it.
Yeah, there's that cliche that says when an African man dies, it's like a library burning.
They're all dying. So that's why I have a passion, to share my knowledge with other people. They get the same like what I have. Instead to keep it to my side. I don't share with other people, which means I'm feeling like I'm selfish if I'm not share my skills with other people.
So they're now teaching this group of young men how to track animals. A tracker academy based in the bush, offering a year-long course in the skills Renias learnt as a youngster when he herded cattle. Skills that have been lost by rapid urbanization and a modern life.
But the traditional way of life, the hunter-gatherer way of life, of which Renias is probably one of the last to be raised on the original traditions of a Shangaan hunter-gatherer, there's no need for it. The only need now is in ecotourism, in anti-poaching, and we're finding quite a few of our Track Academy graduates are becoming research assistants to scientists who are doing PhD theses or whatever it might be, studying an animal. They need an assistant to keep them safe, to find the animal that they are studying. So these are more formal, more modern requirements for traditional skills of tracking in modern day conservation. But it's very much a skill that is required, and that's why when Renias and I wake up in the morning, that's all we think about. And that is why we, together, the Rupert Nature Foundation started the Tracker Academy, which seeks to restore the indigenous knowledge that was once a part of our landscape.